of Warcraft. There, I reckon I've now got the majority of all potential listeners. And remember, I've only got like 3 to begin with, to turn off in disgust / boredom / whatever the fancy word for sneezing is. But anyone sufficiently brave to keep listening will perhaps notice that this, whatever you call these recordings, isn't actually about World of Warcraft. It's about paid downloadable content, or DLC. Let's start at the beginning. In the beginning there was nothing, and the Spirit of God hovered over the water. How there could be water when nothing had been created yet, that escapes me, but we're getting off topic. At this time, the developers developed games, released them, the consumer bought them, they bought them for a one-time price, and then they had them and could play them. At some point, however, some evil bastard, probably named Lance or Bradley, came up with the idea of, after the game was finished and released, they could develop some minor stuff like single missions or purely cosmetic additions, and sell them for a mere fraction of the price of the game itself. This was the invention of paid DLC, which started what is now commonly known as the Age of Terror. I never liked this personally. The concept of paying full price for a game, then having to pay more money for more parts of the game, seems to me like they didn't sell me the full game from the start, but still charged me full price. In retrospect, I'm not too bothered by this bit, because of an argument made by the excellent fellows at Extra Credits. They explain that after the game has been finished, it has to be sent for certification, to get the stamp of approval from the console manufacturers, that kind of stuff. And during that time, the programmers and whatnot basically have nothing to do. Either the game company can get them working on an entirely different project, or they can have them work on DLC for the game. That way I understand that they add things to release. Of course, they could just release it for free, as they should, but I'm not getting very angry at them for charging small amounts of money for it. But then came the true kick in the balls for gamers. Lance and Bradley, the 2 biggest arseholes in the industry, realized that they could just cut out parts of the completed game, sell the main part for full price, then charge more for the part they cut out. The publishers who do this can fuck right off, trademark. They make a complete game, then sell an incomplete bit of it for full price, forcing the players to pay much more than the regular price to experience the full game. The very worst example of this, in my mind, before the one big miserable piece of shit I'll get to in a minute, is a game called Warhammer Total War. It's a really big, beautiful, fantastically designed game, according to most people who've played it. Problem is, they cut out about 1/3 of the content of the game and still had the temerity to charge a higher than average price for it in stores. Then of course you had to pay to get the other third, which should already have been included in the fucking game to begin with. But I hear absolutely nobody ask, what about expansions to game? Are those the same thing? I mean, even though I'm just a figment of your imagination, they just release the game at full price, then sell you more content for an additional fee. No, imaginary person, it's not the same. When you release expansions like Blizzard did with Warcraft 2, or indeed World of Warcraft, you first make a complete game, a game worthy of being sold for full price, you finish the game, then afterwards you create more content to sell. The key word there is more. They're not selling cut out parts of the game that existed from the start, they're selling new things they made to expand the game. The term expansion might have been a bit of a hint. Clearly, my imaginary critics are idiots. The next point of our descent into madness is when L and B came up with loot boxes. Now you could buy loot boxes which had a chance of containing any number of nice and or nifty items. This is gambling. There's no 2 ways about it. It's gambling. Adding gambling to gaming is fucking stupid, and publishers who do it should piss off. Oh well, at least they haven't combined loot boxes with... They did what? Oh, for fuck's sake. The recently released Star Wars Battlefront 2, EA decided to cut out parts of the content and stick it in loot boxes. So, not only do you have to pay for stuff that should have been in the cock-slapping game from the start, you have to do it by buying shitting loot boxes, forcing you to buy a whole shitload of them in order to guarantee that you'll actually get the full game. So, did you think that was all? Don't be silly. How did EA respond to the backlash against this cunt-goggling crap? By saying that it would give the players a real sense of accomplishment when they actually got all the content. You know, I'm gonna cut this off right now, or I'll have to watch through Angry Video Game Nerd episodes to get inspiration for all the cursing I have to do. Fucking morons. To sum up, making new stuff and selling it? Good. Cutting stuff off and then selling it? Dick move. Cutting stuff off, then selling it in loot boxes? Go screw yourself with a rusty knife. Good night.